Hello, Broker Nation. Welcome and thank you for joining us on our September edition of ARIVE Partner Spotlight. Thank you for being here, even as Apple's iPhone event is underway right now. ARIVE Partner Spotlight is a monthly webinar series that we host in which we invite experts and thought leaders from our lender partners to share real-world tips, tactics, and strategies that can help you grow your business. As fall approaches, the football season is heating up, and today's session is all about how we can help you build your brand playbook. If your brand feels like preseason, today is the day we're going to put some points on the board. I'm very excited to welcome an awesome lender partner of ARIVE, Sierra Pacific Wholesale. My good friend, Jonathan McCash, who's the EVP and Head of Sales, is joining us today. Jonathan is known for his trademark smile, his helpful attitude, and always willing to listen mode. Also joining us today is a special guest who is also known as the brand architect. Kat Torre, who works with Sierra Pacific, is joining us today. She helps you build brands that people find trustworthy, relatable, and emotional. This will be an interactive session with a lot of polls and surveys, so we encourage all of you to engage. Before I hand it over to John to do the intro of Sierra Pacific and the panelist, Amy, you have some housekeeping announcements?
Yes, thank you, everyone. Super excited for today's session. I think everyone's going to get some really great nuggets. So thank you for joining. I want to just make sure everyone knows that we are recording this. So if you miss any of it, we will be sending this all out to our ARIVE community. It will also be posted on our ARIVE YouTube channel. You can watch it later, and I'm sure the Sierra Pacific team will also be sharing it as well. So we would love for you to be engaged. We have our chat open. So during the session, if you have questions about anything that you're seeing and hearing, definitely put your questions in the chat. Kat will be very interactive as well. So we're going to have a very engaging session. So we can't wait to hear from you all. With that, I'll hand it back to you, Harish.
I'll give it to John to introduce yourself, Sierra Pacific, and our panelist.
All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be sitting across the country. Welcome, ARIVE Nation. Want to give everybody a quick shout out for joining the call today and investing time in yourself to learn more about how we can help you build the brand. That'll be kind of the topic of the call today. So really excited, Harish, to be on with you and Amy. This is actually the first time I've had the chance to be on the Partner Spotlight session. So I had a little bit of nerves waking up this morning, but I think we're going to get through it. And Harish's bright colored shirt is going to help me guide the way in case I lose my path. So, but no, really excited to be here. And as Harish and Amy indicated, this is a very interactive session. We decided when we do our Partner Spotlight, Sierra Pacific is really all about finding ways to bring value to their partners, right? Whether you're a broker or non-delegated correspondent, we believe that we all have a responsibility as a lender to bring value to our clients. And so we decided to kind of mix up the order of the presentation today. We're going to talk a little bit about Sierra Pacific here to start, and there's some great things happening here and give you some insights on how you can take advantage of current market opportunities. But the second part of the call, we've invited one of our collaborators on, Kat Torre, who's going to talk about how she can help you build your brand. Brand is so important in today. Consumers are getting bombarded, whether it be through the internet or other means in terms of branding. And we want to make sure your brand stands out in the marketplace so you can capitalize on that opportunity in that business. So I'm going to just start by sharing a couple screens if that's okay. And again, feel free, if you have questions, throw them in the chat. We want this to be really interactive. And be able to answer your questions here on the call. So maybe just a quick in the chat, thumbs up, yes, if you can see my screen, everything's good. All right. Perfect. So let's kind of get into what we're calling here today, Beyond the Loan, and how we can really help you guide your business, forward. And so you got to give me one quick second. All right, hold on, everybody. When the sales guy's running technology, things generally go awry. There we go.
We can see your screen.
All right, perfect. I just had to find in my 4 monitors how to get the screen that I wanted up. So anyway, let's talk about Sierra real quick. For those of you that aren't familiar with Sierra, let's talk about who we are, where we've been, and where we're going. So 39 years supporting originators out in the marketplace today. We're very proud of this in terms of, being one of the longest tenured lenders in the space, supporting the mortgage broker community and the non-delegated correspondent community. There are really 3 things I think that set us apart in the marketplace. Accessibility. You have an entire team of underwriters, account managers, myself as the channel leader, that are always accessible to you and your partners to ensure that we can provide the best service possible. We kind of operate with this mindset that nobody's off limits. We live by that each and every day. It's part of our culture and the fabric of our culture, so an important component. The other item is a solution-based mindset. There's not one single mortgage loan that is the same. They're all unique. And so there are things that occur on a loan-by-loan basis where we want to make sure we give you solutions. And so everybody from the account executive into operations operates with a solution-based mindset, because it's critically important that we understand the importance of getting that loan to the table on time, every time. And then accountability. We're accountable to you. You're our client. You're our constituent. We are accountable to make sure that our success is your success. It's interwoven with each other. And so if a loan doesn't close, that is something that, we have to be held accountable for. And we want to make sure that accountability is something that carries through within all parts of the process. So there are 2 things today that I want to kind of talk about and how Sierra can help scale your business. In my view, there's 2 fundamental challenges today in the marketplace that originators are dealing with. Number 1, affordability. So we want to talk about some tools to unlock affordability, and refinances. Ironically, when I was putting this presentation together 2 weeks ago, we saw rates at a very competitive mark, but since then they've come down quite a bit, right? Last Friday, we saw rates come down quite a bit after not so impressive jobs numbers. So we're seeing a lot more opportunity to take advantage of refis in the marketplace today. And so we want to talk quickly about that. So let's talk about tools to unlock affordability and what we can do to help, or what you can do as an originator to find and unlock opportunities out there in the marketplace. So number 1, ARM options. I know everybody, we see rates come down. A lot of borrowers want to talk about 30-year fixed mortgages, which are great, and they provide 30 years of payment stability for that consumer. But ultimately, we have many borrowers who also want to look at ARM options, right? A 5-6, a 7-6, and a 10-6 ARM. And those are great ways in which we can help borrowers get into homes, make things more affordable. If they have, time horizons that can meet a 5-year fixed period, a 7-year fixed period, or a 10-year fixed period. And so I want to make sure the team here and the ARIVE Nation on the call doesn't look past ARM options today in the market. They are a great opportunity. They make up about 9% of the originations in the market today, and something we should not look past. Ironically, the way that these loans price, the 7-6 price is better than a 5-6. So kind of one tip I would give the team here is that your 7-6 option today is as good, if not better, than your 5-6. So make sure you go with that route. The second item is condos. There's a lot of misinformation about condos. Condos are a critically important part of our housing stock in the United States today, and a critical part of first-time homebuyer housing stock. And so, yes, are there challenges getting condos approved? Are there eligibility vetting that needs to happen and make sure a condo can get placed appropriately? Absolutely. Here at Sierra, you have a dedicated condo team, and that condo team is here to help kind of unlock some of the questions that people have around condos. You can pre-flight condos. We'll do single unit approvals through FHA. We'll also approve a VA condo for you as well. And the benefit of that VA condo, which I think there's a lot of misinformation about there, is VA condos never expire. So once it's approved, that is a project that you can continue to lend in time and time again without having to re-up that approval, because VA condos never expire. So it's a great opportunity to put a veteran in a home, in a condo unit, and an opportunity there to provide more financing options for your realtors, your borrowers. And then lastly, bond and down payment assistance programs with affordability challenges. There are a lot of affordable programs in the market today. They could be state bonds, or they could be local municipality bond products, but the state bond products today are a great opportunity for you to capitalize and help provide closing costs and down payment assistance for your borrower. So here at Sierra, we offer CalHFA, we offer Florida bond, we offer the Texas bond, Oregon and Washington, and we'll even go out of our way and approve any other local or municipal bond that may be available today to your consumers or your constituents. So it's a great opportunity, again, to leverage funds provided by state finance agencies for either closing costs or down payment assistance. It can be used for both. The one kind of tip that I would give is the income requirements vary greatly. You can have areas in California that allow for income levels up to 300,000. In other areas, they may be lower. So you really want to work with a lender that understands the nuances of bonds, how to qualify them. And here at Sierra, we do an amazing job on the bond product, and it's a staple of kind of what we offer here at Sierra. Let's talk about refinances. This has been a story really in the last few weeks we've seen, and it's opened up a lot of opportunity. Look, the last couple of years have been a challenge in the housing market. We've all had to rely heavily on purchases, which has been great. I know all of you on this call have fostered strong relationships with realtors. You need to continue to foster those. Those are a critical part of your infrastructure and your business. However, there's a new segment opening up for all of us in this industry on refis. And so I wanted to share a quick stat that came from ICE in their August Mortgage Monitor report, that if 30-year fixed rates fall to 6 1/8, 4.8 million borrowers will become in the money or eligible for a refi. That's a tremendous amount of opportunity for everybody on this call. So I want to encourage all of you that there is refi opportunity coming. If it's not here today, it's coming here in the not so distant future. We have a Fed meeting next week, and there's a lot of borrowers who have closed in the last 2 years that could be eligible for a refi. So let's talk about 3 ways that we can help and you can help generate more refi business. So number 1, find a way to streamline the process. Consumers today are looking for easy, right? And so we have to find ways as lenders, as originators, to streamline the origination process for consumers. I can assure you, whoever is servicing that current loan for that borrower is going to find ways to streamline the process to get them to refi. We have to do the same thing as originators, whether you're working in the broker or non-delegated channel. So we've got a solution for that. It's called Fast Track, and we will verify the income and assets electronically for borrowers that receive direct deposit. Their company does not have to be on a certain system. As long as they have direct deposit, they are eligible for this Fast Track refi product, and it verifies income and assets electronically. No other information is required from the consumer when it comes to pay stubs or W-2s. In addition to that, I would highly suggest making sure you understand your appraisal collateral options. We're seeing here at Sierra more and more loans get property acceptance, that was formerly known as the property inspection waiver, or value acceptance, and also ACE waivers through Freddie Mac. And so if you can find ways to streamline your process, understand your AUS findings, then that can help you make the process easier and less expensive for the consumer to refi, which is what they're looking for in order to get to that next loan that's going to lower their current interest rate. Number 2, this may sound simple, but it is essential. We have to show up. We have to show up every day. We have to stay in front of our borrowers. And as we commonly like to say here at Sierra, if you don't, someone else will. So if you don't show up, there'll be another originator out there that will show up with that consumer and work that refinance transaction. That is critically important. The other item is here at Sierra, we service about most of our conventional transactions, about 80% of our conventional loans we service in-house, and we give those leads back to our partners. So whether you're a broker or non-delegated correspondent, we give those new leads back to our customers because we view that as our obligation here to be partners, to make sure those leads go back to our brokers and our non-delegated correspondents. We'll be able to net escrows on those transactions. We can request payoffs. We can request mortgage history. Again, thinking of ways to streamline the process, make it easy. Right there, that is a way to do that and to ensure that you get that refi loan versus somebody else. And then lastly, talk about speed and scale. Amy and I were chatting here before we jumped on the call about the importance of speed today. Speed in the mortgage process is essential. I would say a couple years ago, speed was everything on purchases. That's still the case today. On refis, maybe not as important. I think it's everything today on a refi because the longer that borrower's in process, the more at risk they become of maybe another interest rate drop or somebody else reaching out to them. So we view speed as just as important on a refi than a purchase transaction. They're both equally as the same importance. So what we're doing here at Sierra is we've really built and focused a lot of effort here in 2025 on building out AI tools to not only help our operations team, but also soon here to be helping our partners find ways to bring speed to the process, but also scale. How can you do more as an originator, as a processor, as a lender without disrupting the speed, right? And that's the critical piece. So phase one we rolled out, which basically means when you submit a loan to Sierra Pacific within 15 minutes, that loan is in underwriting. Files indexed, the loan is moved to underwriting within 15 minutes. That's an AI engine at work that can bring speed and scale to the upfront side of the process. Phase two, which will be happening in October, we'll be providing you a digital underwriting assistant, which will help you guide your way through the process. It can help you analyze data. If there's mismatches of information, it'll call those out so you're aware. If the loan is not eligible for one reason, it'll give you suggestions on how to make that loan eligible. And it'll also automate tasks as well, notifying the borrower on what conditions are missing. So there's a lot of great use cases for AI today in the market. In our view, it's really all about bringing speed and scale, not just to our process, but we want to bring it to your process as well. Because if you can work and make your process faster and more scalable, you can win that refi at any twist and turn. So again, critically important. Those are the kind of the refi pivot, and also the affordability factor are the two things that really stand out in our view of how we can help you grow your business. So I know I've kind of said a bunch here as we started the call, and I wanted to just take a minute here and introduce kind of our next guest. As I mentioned, we're going to do something a little different here today. Nobody wants to hear me talk for an hour, but I can definitely listen to Kat Torre talk for an hour, that's for sure. So again, we're excited to welcome kind of our collaborator that collaborates with Sierra Pacific on a regular basis, Kat Torre. She's a consulting brand director. She's a strategic storyteller. You're going to find that part really compelling. She's a founder of the Brand Architect. She's passionate about helping leaders really evolve their brand in the marketplace and craft magnetic messaging that not only feels authentic but also drives real results. And so, she's worked with some of the best companies in the world. She leads coaching and training content at Ryan Serhant's Sell It. She's been featured in Forbes, has 2 acclaimed podcasts, and now she has the time for all that. And she's here to really share her expertise on building a brand that really truly connects and converts. Ultimately, that's what we all want. So without further ado, Kat, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jon, so much. And hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. And with this being Zoom webinar, I can't see you, but I know that you can see all of us. So I'm just very, very excited to get into all the goodness that I have here to share with you today. So we'll be using the Q&A as our form of chat today. So please feel free, don't save your questions until the end. Answer them as they come up in real time. And as we get kicked off today, and I go ahead and share my screen, I would love for everybody to drop what city that they're joining from in the chat so that I can see where we're all joining from today. I'm coming at you live from Philly, but Harish, you had me at hello and your football analogies because this was a good starting week. My Niners won. I'm San Francisco born and raised, and I won fantasy football by 0.5 points. So it's like, whew, great win this week. We've got Martin joining from St. Louis, Tony from Atlanta, Bill from Park City, Raleigh, Bakersfield, Michelle, Simi Valley, DFW, Patty. I see you in DFW. Michelle in Florida. Love it. North Carolina. Holly, Pennsylvania. Hi, Kat. Hey, Sam. We might have to go get coffee sometime if you ever find yourself in Fishtown. Vineet says, go Chargers. Vineet, we might not be friends after this, but we'll figure it out. All right. Khalil, we've got from Sterling. Okay, beautiful. Plano, keep dropping it in the chat. I love seeing where everyone is joining from. And I'm going to go ahead and get started to make the most of our little over half an hour that we have here together today. So, building a brand. I see that it can be very nebulous for a lot of folks, and it can be really kind of something that doesn't really make sense off the jump, right? And so my intention today is to demystify what it means to build a brand and to start with the lowest possible common denominator, which is really sharing a story and connecting and posting less, but meaning more, because I don't want anybody on here after today to post simply to be seen. I want you to be remembered, because that's really what building a brand is about. And if you're thinking about, oh, all of the other profiles out there that have hundreds, thousands of followers, thousands of views, that's not really what anybody who posts online is competing against. What we're really competing against is everything else that's out there. And the fact that our attention spans have gotten so short and so fleeting and so fickle, and that so much content gets skipped. People aren't really even looking at, oh, well, Sean from Tacoma only has 87 followers. Sorry, Sean, I'm sure you have more than 87, but that's not really what people are looking for. They're getting overwhelmed and they're getting inundated, and they are just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And they are disconnected, they're isolated. And what I really want us to do at the end of today is to be clear about how we can show up more as ourselves and to say less, but to mean more. And that is really going to be my intention today, because it's not that we're competing against everybody else that's posting out there. It's that we're competing for the attention. And the fact that people scroll the height of the Statue of Liberty before lunch is bananas to me. So that's my intention and aim today. We want to really reconnect with the true meaning of what it means to build a brand. So before we get to that, Harish, if you could queue up our first poll here today, I would love to know where everyone is starting, where you feel your biggest challenge is in showing up online. Is it that you don't really know what to say? Or is it that you feel awkward on camera? By the way, I'm here to tell you that that is entirely normal. We were not designed and evolved to feel amazing and charismatic immediately on camera. Or is it that you feel you don't have the time? I'm going to participate in that poll and say that as well, because I see that. Or do you feel like nobody cares, or that nobody's really paying attention, or you're not really quite sure how this is going to matriculate into business? Let me know what you see in the poll here. Cast your vote. Or is it all of the above? Is it just super, super overwhelming and you have no idea where to even begin? And it's all of the above. So cast your vote. Would love to see. And then Harish, we can wrap the poll in a few moments here. But I really think it's important to hone in on what you feel your biggest challenge is. Because the first step in being able to show up, being able to connect with your audience, is to really know what's holding you back. So cast your vote in the poll here. Ivan says chat is disabled. Ivan, you popped up in the Q&A. You're good. There should be a poll window where you're going to cast your vote. What do you think is your biggest challenge in showing up online? All right. Harish, do we have enough responses here? Let me stop sharing my screen for a moment. Let's see those poll results. Okay. Wow, it's pretty even here. So we have quite a few that say you don't know what to say. I totally get that. The awkward on camera. Thank you everyone for being fully transparent and honest about that. Not as many saying I don't have time, and a lot saying all of the above. Okay. Yes. Definitely see this. It is a good place to start with. Well, we are going to, good news, solve a lot of those problems today and not knowing what to say. So let's first get into kind of what I see online here. Now, the big challenge that I see, in addition to not knowing what to say, is also how to show up, right? Jon spent a lot of time talking about all of the incredible products that Sierra Pacific has, which is fantastic. But people don't remember products. The products are what you're going to do once you get their attention, once they sign an engagement with you, once they are on your calendar and they're responding back to you, right? That's going to be the time when you can get into all of the nitty-gritty of how you're able to help them. And Sierra Pacific has a lot of resources for that. But before they even call you back or text you back, it's the people that people remember, not the products. And while blending in online, like this lovely person who is making an effort in putting out content online, it's not distinct. It's not memorable. And here, drop in the Q&A either a 1 for the post on the left or a 2 for the post on the right. Which one did you look at first when I popped to this slide? 1 for the post on the left, 1 for the post on the right. Brian says 2, Jessica says 2, Melanie says 1. Okay, good. Marsha 1, Timothy 2, Joel says on the right. Yes. And look, I'm not here to call out anybody who has ever posted a template online, right? I used to do content like that once upon a time, and I understand nobody on this call is a full-time content creator. You are a mom. You are a husband, you're an auntie, you're an uncle, you're a parent, you're part of the PTA, you are a coach, you are also a loan officer, you are also a brother, a sister. You have so many roles. I get it. So I'm not saying this to shade people who have ever used these templates, but what I'm saying is it's not helping you get remembered. According to HubSpot, people remember 70% of information if it's told through a story. Like here, my dear friend Kaden, the millennial loan officer. Also, any millennials in the chat, we can sound off in the Q&A here as well. Instead of talking about the products that my friend Kaden here, the millennial loan officer, has, he starts referring to something that us millennials have heard a lot of. If you just cut out the pumpkin spice lattes and you know, shrink your budget for coffee, you'll be able to afford a home. I have heard that so many times, and I cannot tell you, as the civilian in the room, because I am a civilian, I am not a real estate agent, I am not a loan officer, I am your strategist and your hype person. I roll my eyes and cringe every time I heard somebody give me that advice. And now Kaden, instead of talking about the products he has to help me solve the problem, he's talking about the story that I've heard over and over again. Just make coffee at home. Save that $8 a day, and then you'll be able to afford your home. And it is instantly more memorable because as compared to the 70% likelihood of somebody remembering a story versus the 10% likelihood of them remembering a statistic, what is going to get you more remembered so that you are more top of mind when it does come time for you to be referred business? The products come at the end. If you lead with the products, they're not going to be able to be as memorable as you need in order to stand out online. And let me just take a brief moment here. Brand and why I preach story and why we're going to get into storytelling here today. Brand is about being remembered. It's about living rent-free in somebody's head so that you occupy that precious brain space in their mind and in their heart, and you're not even competing with all of the other content in the feed. That's brand. It's the imprint, the impression that you leave on someone long after you have had a fleeting or a meaningful interaction with them. It's about your impact on the other person. And the most effective way to leave an impact on somebody is to tell a story, is to lead with stories, because that's how we're hardwired to connect as human beings. The photo I had at the beginning of this presentation was the show must go on. Look, the show is going to go on. There's going to be new social media platforms. There's going to be new technology coming out every single day. But the one thing that is not going to change anytime soon is how we are hardwired to connect as humans. And Caden's story of saying, just make coffee at home and then you can save for the down payment, that stopped me. Instead of the template saying, invest in affordable housing in these 4 steps, I look at these 4 steps as a civilian. A, I'm like, that sounds like a lot of work. B, I'm like, this sounds like some jargon. I don't really know. Maybe I should go Google. And then I go down a Google rabbit hole. And then I get distracted by the Google News alerts. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, Taylor Swift got engaged. And I've completely forgotten about whatever beautiful infographic you tried to put together to make an impression and educate me. But I'll remember the stories. Yes, Brian, facts tell, stories sell. They sell people on themselves because they can see themselves represented in whatever it is that you're telling. Caden is the one who's here, and he's going to love that I'm talking so much about him. Caden's the one here front and center in the reel, right? But the moment he tells a story, I immediately think of my own story. That's the power. That's being remembered. That's getting people to call you back. That's where you'll see increased conversion rates, increased response rates, increased referral rates in your business. Okay, now, how do we actually do this? I have a 3-part framework that I am going to share with you today. If you are on your desktop, this is probably a great slide to screenshot because it's the 1, 2, 3-step framework that I want every single person on this call and watching the replay to keep in mind whenever you're applying a story prompt that I'm going to share in just a little bit. And I'm going to call on a volunteer to help workshop that live with me. 3 steps: clarity, alignment, presence. Whether you are about to call somebody who is a cold lead in your database, or you are responding back via text message, or you are crafting a LinkedIn post for thought leadership, or you are putting together an Instagram reel, doesn't matter. This framework is something that you can apply because it makes you more charismatic, more magnetic, and more memorable. Step number 1 is distilling and being very clear on what the purpose of what you're doing is. Remove the jargon. Say less. I could give you a whole diatribe on what building a brand really is, but all I want to do at the end of the day is help you be more memorable. That's it. That's it. That's brand building in like 4 to 5 words. Let's help you be more memorable. We want you to be more potent over being perfect and polished. Because like I said, civilians like myself, your clients are inundated with information. And when you say less, it's like a breath of fresh air. So be very clear on what the purpose is of what you're doing every single time you show up, whether it's online or offline, because that clarity creates focus and energy. And then the second element of the framework is alignment. This is where you're going to align what your purpose is to the medium that you are on. So let's say you're on Instagram Reels or you're on Instagram Stories. If it's Instagram Stories, it's going to be very much behind the scenes. It's going to be off the cuff, like you're FaceTiming a friend. If you're on LinkedIn, it's going to be more skewing professional. It's going to be more positioned to have you seen as somebody who is authoritative and credible. You might use a little bit of jargon, but not too much, right? And then presence. Think about when you are talking with somebody, whether it's your spouse or maybe it's a mentor or maybe it's a fellow colleague of yours, and when you're speaking with them and they are making eye contact with you and you know and you sense in your bones that you have their 100% undivided attention, it feels really good, right? When you are fully present and in the moment. And how bad does it feel when you see somebody who you're talking with and they glance down and look at a text message that just came in on their phone? Ouch. The presence is so simple And it's so powerful. And some of the most charismatic leaders in the world, they've studied this. There are studies on this. I didn't want to include all of the links here, but you can Google it after this training. Charisma starts with being fully 100% where your feet are in present. And that does not take you having to know how to edit a reel or draft the perfect LinkedIn newsletter or have the perfect camera equipment. You don't need any of that to be present. It's not about going viral. It's about showing up. Like Jon was saying, that was step 2 in the process. Show up. It sounds simple, but sometimes it's not easy in the era of distraction. Okay, now before we get into our workshopping phase here, which I am very excited about, let's first talk about and define what makes a story. We've defined what makes a brand. What makes a story? And I would love for somebody to put into the chat 1, 2, 3, or 4, which element of the story here speaks the most to you? Which is your favorite? Because not all moments are stories. And that's really important. And I know for the 30-something% of you who said that I don't really know what to say online, or I'm not sure people really care, people love a good story. They love the tea. They love the hot goss, as the kids and my Gen Z stepdaughter likes to tell me. Brian says 2. Ivan, it's okay. Ivan, just drop the number in the chat here. Vineet says relatable topic. Michelle, relatable cast. Bill, authentic vulnerability. Marilyn, authentic vulnerability. Patty, 2. Ooh, it seems like 2 is winning here. Interesting that it is. Okay, let's give you the TLDR. This is also another great screenshotable moment for your phone if you're on your desktop, or you can screenshot on your phone. 4 elements that make a story. 1, relatable cast. If you're telling the story, be relatable. If you're sharing something about your clients, don't try to hide the fact that they've got a quirk, or they're a nerd, or they used to have a past life, or they come from a blended family, or their parents were immigrants. Be relatable. Own who you are, or somebody else will, right? We want the relatability. We want that connection. And then we want to be authentic and vulnerable. We want to share something maybe that we would have only shared with a friend. Right? One of my favorite tips when you're showing up on Instagram stories, or really just content in general, is to imagine the phone as if you're FaceTiming a friend. Because that is going to instantly make people feel at ease when they're swiping through and land on your content. And then number 3, underdog moment. We love an underdog moment, right? We want to root for somebody. We want to root for David versus Goliath. We want to root for Rocky. We want to root for the underdog. Don't be afraid to show the moments where maybe you almost gave up, or where you lost faith, or where you got frustrated and a deal fell through. Give people the opportunity to root for you, because by showing the challenges and the ups and downs that you go through, you are demonstrating that you are resilient, that you are a great problem solver, that you can demonstrate critical thinking instead of telling somebody that you are. The underdog moment shows that. And then last, specificity. Specificity sells. It's a specific detail that acts like a lightning bolt in your mind, and people immediately sit up and they're able to wrap their heads around it. So the more specific that you can be, the better. The more specific, let's use an example here. My husband and I needed exactly $18,500 and change, 540 something. I don't remember the last digit, but we needed $18,540 for our down payment when we were buying our home in February of 2021 after he got pre-approved right before COVID. And it was a mission to get that cash together, let me tell you, but we did. And that $18,540 unlocked the key to our first property and the rest of our lives. Specificity, okay? Always remember to have these 4 elements and you will have a story. Okay, let's get into our first mini workshop here. So drop it in the Q&A. If someone were to refer you tomorrow, this is brand, what word would you want them to use? Take a moment here. Think about it. No wrong answers, by the way, and I appreciate everybody who drops their answers in the Q&A. What word would you want them to use if they were to refer you? Patty says experienced, reliable, empathetic, caring, attentive, friendly, personable, responsive, honest and competent, hardworking, knowledgeable, dependable, trustworthy, with integrity, yes, honest, results, trustworthy, always available and dependable, trustworthy, credible. Okay. I appreciate everybody dropping in the Q&A here the words that they would use: solutions provider, honest, lowest rate. Okay. Now here's what I want you to realize. And like I said, there's no wrong answers. But again, if brand is about being remembered, we must be distinct. We must be different and differentiated from other folks out there. So in addition to all of these incredible words that I definitely want even associated with my own brand, I challenge everybody to think about, you can go to thesaurus.com. That's still in an era of ChatGPT, one of my most visited websites, and think of a different word that wouldn't pop up naturally on somebody's bio or somebody's website to supplement these other words here that you want somebody to use. I'll use mine for example. I love being described as a hype person, like a hype man. I love hyping people up. So if somebody says hype man when they describe me, I love it. I did my job. That's different than just saying, yes, Kat is insightful and strategic and has high integrity, right? Those are a lot of words that are used a lot, and they do have weight. But if they're used a lot, sometimes that actually oftentimes can lead to you blending in, and I don't want you to blend in. So that's the thing that I want you all to keep in mind. We want everybody to be honest and to be credible and knowledgeable and attentive and friendly, but I challenge you to think of a different word. Resourceful is great. Khalil, I like that one. I would challenge you to think of a story that showed you and how you were resourceful. And this is something you can come back to. Like Amy mentioned, there's going to be a replay. Passionate, creative, yes. Problem solver. Okay. Think on that, because again, the brand that you think you have is actually not the one that you have. What it really is what people think of you already. Right? What are the words that people use to describe you? What is their impression of you? What are the emotions associated with you? So this is a good gut check. Think about what you want people to describe you as, and is that actually how you're described? Okay. Moving from our brand mini workshop here, I would love to do another mini workshop. So one of the takeaways that we are going to share at the end. Jon and Jessica will distribute it to everybody on this call. We'll send it to everybody who is catching the replay. Ooh, whoever said home, I like that. To have somebody describe you as you feel like home is great. I'm going to give you a takeaway of 52 weeks of story prompts that you can use. So basically your content for the next year. And I want to workshop this in just a moment here. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see our lovely panelists here. And Jon, may I borrow you for a moment for this workshop?
Sure, I guess so. I don't think I have a choice, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like there's 160 people on here that would see you say no. So
just, you're good.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. All right, in the Q&A, somebody drop in a number 1 through 52. And we're just going to pick a random prompt. This is live. I actually just decided that we were going to do it this way before I hopped on. So surprise. 1 through 52. Okay, who was first? Emily, 18. Emily, you win the prize that I don't know what it is yet, but you were the first to respond, so thank you. Okay, let's scroll down to our prompts here. And just to show you guys how much we are riffing here on the spot, what's 18? So 10, 8. Okay. Jon, our prompt here is finish this sentence. Mortgage and lending is not about blank. It's about blank.
I would say mortgage is not about the
Let me know if you want to phone a friend.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to think of the right words. I had the second part. It's
Okay.
really, it's about the experience, right? If I think about the consumer experience, that is the most memorable part of the process for the consumer, right? Obviously, they get into their home, but how was the overall experience that they went through with the loan officer, with the processor, with that lending team that they worked with? That to me is the most memorable part for a consumer.
Okay. I love that, Jon. And I think when you said experience, the first word that popped into my mind is lending is not about the rate, it's about the experience. Because I hear so much about the rates. I see that in that, like as a civilian, right? And the Fed's going to lower it. No, they're not. Yes, they are. They're the lowest they've been in a year. And I'm just like, but beyond that, where do I even start? Right. And it's like wanting to start is definitely based on how I'm feeling and the experience I'm receiving, right? As a client.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, consumers want to get into a home, let's say a first-time home buyer. While the rate is an important component, the end goal is for them to get to their home, and the experience is how they do that.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Thank you, John, for being our volunteer here today.
And
And I
Kat, we have
see
some good answers online.
we do. I was
Yes,
going to
sir.
call them out.
Yes,
Yes. So
please do.
Timothy, it's not about houses, it's about people. Yes. Thank you. How many times have we heard it's the people that make the place? That's it. Ivan says it's not about transactions, it's about relationships. Yes. It's not about transactions, it's about trust. Vineet, absolutely. It's not about transactions, it's about making dreams come true. I love this. Mortgage industry is not about today, it's about tomorrow. Or even Khalil, mortgage industry is not about today, it's about your grandchildren's tomorrow. If you really want to like lengthen out that time horizon, people are thinking about generational wealth, especially if you're working with first-time homeowners. Again, the story, right? So thank you, John, for volunteering. And thank you for everybody in the chat who is participating in this. One of the takeaways that we're going to share with you is 52 of these prompts that a lot of you answered really quickly and really well. And they skew from different subject matter, right? So one's about your origin and your story, one's about your point of view. One is about behind the scenes and personality, client experience. So you will get all of these prompts at the end of today's session, and you'll essentially have a full year's worth of content. So no excuses about not knowing what to say, because now I've done the thinking for you and you will have those prompts. A few other ones that I love and I want to call out here before we move on to our third mini workshop is a time you almost quit the industry, but didn't. That's a big one. That's where you have the underdog moment. And you can be super specific too. The moment in time, when was your I'm done moment or I'm almost done? Myth busting is also really fun, as well as giving advice to your 25-year-old self. Because even though that might sound like a yearbook, time capsule exercise, what it really showcases is your leadership. How would you lead a younger version of yourself? What wisdom and mentorship would you want to pass down to them? This would be a great, great post for LinkedIn or even in long form email newsletter, which we are going to move forward to our final poll here. Harish, if you are able to pull it up here and respond in the poll, you can also respond in the Q&A. I would love to check in. Which platform feels the most like you? I don't want you to think about what all the gurus tell you to do. I want you to think about the one that gives you the most energy, the most excitement. Cast your vote in the poll because there are so many different ways that we can connect with people. And I don't know if anybody on here has ever heard Gary V say, you need to be on every single platform, posting 15 times a day, every single day for the rest of the year. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind. And I'm like, geez, Gary, chill. Trying to trigger our abandonment issues here? Like, whoa. I'm here to tell you that's not true. You do not need to post more, right? Today was about saying less and meaning more. So let me know which platform is most resonant for you. It feels the most like you right now. And we will get our poll results here soon enough. And Adam, I see you raising your hand. If you want to drop your question in the Q&A, I would love to answer it as well here. So results of our poll, thank you, Harish. Instagram stories, 36%. I love it. My millennials, where we at? We're right there. LinkedIn, 15%. Facebook, 30%. Okay, so we've got Instagram stories / TikTok and Facebook leading the pack at over 30%. Email, 14%. Okay, I think everyone's going to love my next slide where I talk about alignment. of platforms, because email boasts, according to Constant Contact, a 42-to-1 ROI versus the typical 3-to-1 ROI that you see with typical Meta paid advertising. And only 5% of you say none of them feel quite right. Okay, I appreciate the honesty and the transparency here. So with those 52 weeks of prompts that we just showed you that you'll receive after this training here today, I want to give you full permission that you can take a prompt and apply it to multiple platforms. This is what's called content repurposing. It's not just blindly reposting the same Instagram caption as a LinkedIn post and then making it into an email or asking ChatGPT to do that. No. This is about aligning your message with the medium, but you've got the same message, right? Remember the CAP framework, being very clear. What's the purpose? I want to share a moment in my career where I almost quit, but I didn't. That's the purpose. And then I'm going to align it to Instagram. It's going to be quick. It's going to be like FaceTiming with a friend, like we're catching up over cocktails or coffee. And then I'm going to repurpose it and maybe expand it out a little bit more for LinkedIn. And I'm going to add in some more insights. Maybe I'll bring in even a statistic or two, right? We love statistics in LinkedIn posts. And then in email, I'm going to expand it and make it almost feel like a mini essay where I'm going to really reflect and share deeper context, because email across generations, this was another interesting statistic, from Gen Z to Gen X to Boomer, is seen as the most personal platform that we have out there today. Even beyond TikTok, even beyond Instagram, it's email. So if you're connecting and you're showing up with that presence, you're going to have the ability to share a deeper, longer story and be more memorable. What is ROI? Khalil, return on investment. Yes, great question. So $1 in, $42 out for email. Meta, if you're lucky, $1 in, $3 back, which is why I love email. You're also not competing with the feed, right? And you're able to go directly to somebody's inbox. There's so much opportunity to personalize. So of those 52 prompts, you'll be able to create 3 pieces of content. Start with your primary platform, choose 1 or 2 others. You don't have to choose all of them like Gary Vee says. Sorry, Gary, not sorry. None of us on this call have a 6-figure content team yet. And you will be able to create over 150 pieces of content just from the prompts that you're going to get today. And you saw how quickly several of you answered that one prompt that Jon and I just workshopped live on this call. That's it. That's all you need. Focus on that. You focus on this for the next 6 months, I guarantee you your business will grow. You will have increased conversion rates. You will have increased referral rates as long as you are still showing up and following up. Now, the last element, presence over performance. I say this because I don't want anybody to feel like when they're showing up on Instagram or they're creating LinkedIn posts that they need to perform. This is not an act. I want you to be you. If you is a little bit more understated, a little bit more introverted, that's fine. Be you. You don't need to be bombastic. You don't need to be like you're on Broadway. You don't need to act like a completely different person, because you being more of you creates authenticity. It creates resonance. It will pull people in. Your voice and what you have to say matters more than being perfect or being polished. So I want everybody to really, really remember that. Okay. Let me go here. All right. The last takeaway, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jon here in a few moments, is a 14-day sprint. It's bite-sized, it's approachable, it's easy. It helps you integrate the clarity, alignment, and presence framework that we talked about today. And it is going to guide you through step by step to begin to build your own story vault on your phone, to start to tackle a prompt or two, to share it on a different platform, to ask questions, to start conversations. It is going to be your guide. And if you're ever lost in what to do, just restart that 14-day sprint. So that's another takeaway that you're going to get in addition to the 52 weeks of story prompts. And if we have any other questions, I'm going to take a moment, drop those questions in the Q&A. And as we do, I'm going to take a moment just to say truly thank you for making the little 4-year-old girl, that is me, I'm part Japanese, also if you did not know that beforehand, insanely surreal and proud to be able to be on here and to share and to pour in with all of you today. But as I mentioned, you will have the 14-day sprint challenge. You'll have the story vault that Jon and I showed and we just workshopped. Choose a platform, share your first story. That's it. Don't think about followers. Don't think about going viral. Don't think about views. Just do this. Just focus on this. Less is more. If you ever start to feel overwhelmed, content, brand building, storytelling, all of this, less is more. Truly. Okay. I'll make sure you get those takeaways. Jon and Jessica will distribute them. And with our last few moments here, oh, wait, I do see a question. Marilyn, at the buzzer beater, I love it. Is it necessary to have FaceTime on platforms or can you post with music or words? Yes, Marilyn, if you want to work up to showing your face on camera, you can definitely do captions. You can definitely storytell through auto-generated captions or to use music, or you can even do a voiceover. If you can't show your voice, or show your face, use your voice in voiceover. Voice is very powerful. Our tone of voice can either make it feel like we're yelling or make it feel like we're inspiring people. So Marilyn, if you don't want to show your face, use your voice for original audio. That's a quick tip for everybody, but you must have one of those two things to create that human brand connection. Okay, and Tony says, are we going to receive a summary? Yes, you'll get the replay of this as well. And with that, I will turn it back to Jon.
Great, amazing, Kat. Thank you so much. That was a really amazing overview of how to continue to build your brand and make it more noticeable in the marketplace, and some really great insights on how we can all do that. Look, this content and this challenge here is for everybody on the call, whether you're a loan officer or you work for a lender. I mean, I think there's some really insightful tips we can all take. So again, I wanted to thank Kat, wanted to thank my friends Harish and Amy also for the time here at Sierra. If you want to contact Sierra and learn more about the amazing work we're doing to help, in the beginning of the call, we talked about home affordability. We talked about the refi pivot. If you want to learn more about those things that we talked about earlier, whether it be condo approvals, bond transactions, or the speed and the scale of how we can help you take advantage of the refinance business, please scan that QR code here in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Reach out to us via TPO Sales at spmc.com. Again, we're an organization that's been around for 39 years. We've got amazing people. That's what makes Sierra great, that are here and ready to help all of you grow your business. That is what we're here for. That's what we're passionate about. That's what our culture is built around. And we're really excited to partner with all of you here on the call and continue to grow. So with that said, Harish, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, so thank you, Jonathan and Kat, for coming here. This was an awesome session, one of the best we have had. We are hearing directly from our audiences. They enjoyed this. They're all walking away with actionable strategies to put this into action. Kat will look forward to your 52-week content prompts. I think they'll be awesome for all of us. And before we say goodbye, I have to say I'm a Niners fan as well. I'm happy for the gritty win, but I'll be honest, we have to do something about the kicker situation. But with that, I want to thank all of you for being here today. And yes, this will be, the recording will be available within a week on ARIVE's YouTube channel. So if you want to watch this again, and thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.